Hi y'all, my name is Cydnee Sanders. If you watched our previous videos, welcome back. If you're watching for the first time, thanks for joining us and be sure to check out our other videos and topics. This video was made in partnership with Atlas ABE in St. Paul, Minnesota. We hope these videos are conversation starters for professional development for adult education educators. These bite-sized videos can be watched with colleagues or by yourself. Today's topic is tapping into diverse perspectives and teaching materials. Remember, in any of these topics, 10 to 15 minutes is not enough. So the idea of this, or really our hope, is that these begin the conversations among educators. Then we will do what we can to present different ideas, resources, and solutions in bite-sized chunks. As I mentioned, this is one topic out of a series we'll be doing called Moving Equity Forward in Adult Education. Be sure to check out our other videos. So let's start with an overview of today's episode. Today, we started with the welcome. Next, we will do another community check-in, which is a question I will pose to y'all to think about before the topic continues. Then we will talk about what I mean by diverse perspectives and teaching materials and why this is important. After that, we will look at some examples of resources you can use to find diverse materials. Finally, we will wrap by briefly going over the accompanying discussion guide as an additional resource. So let's start with our community check-in. Today's question is, what is one new perspective, social, cultural, you learned about recently? I know this question is pretty broad. Think about anything you've read, watched, listened to, or a person you talked to recently who maybe comes from a different background. You can define background as whatever you want, a different social group, region, career, etc. Did you learn something new from them? Feel free to pause the video for a minute to think about this. If you're watching this with others, take a moment to talk about your answers. Great, welcome back. For me, a new perspective I learned about recently was from Quinta Brunson's book about her journey as a Black woman from West Philly to becoming a comedian. I just finished listening to her book, She Means Well. Quinta created, writes, and stars in the hit show Abbott Elementary. If you don't already watch the show, you should. It was so interesting to learn about her experience in West Philly schools, going to an art high school, leaving Temple University to do comedy, which her parents didn't support. I learned so much about what it's like to be a comedian. She was usually the only woman and Black person in many of those spaces. Parts of her story resonated with mine, but I definitely have no idea what it's like to be a famous meme or create my own TV show. Her book is such an excellent example of how multifaceted, diverse, complex, and beautiful stories that often aren't in the mainstream really are, which connects to our topic today. What does diverse perspectives and teaching materials mean? Teaching materials could be visual, written, video, audio, and really not having only one group represented in those materials, right? Not having stereotypical representations of groups. For example, a Latina woman only as maids in the curriculum, or a Black man as a dishwasher in a restaurant. We previously had a curriculum where there was a Black man in it, but he was a dishwasher. Why couldn't he be a chef in a position of power and experience? I think this is one of the best starting places. If you do this, then it really can impact the classroom community. I'm hoping to make this one of the easiest places to start. If you watch the first video of the series, Why is DEI Important in Adult Education Classrooms? Then you'll remember I gave an example of DEI and justice by Defina Lazarus Stewart about who is in the room or who can't get in the room, who is being listened to or valued, or who won't be taken as seriously because they aren't in the majority. So I want to remind us that in this work, I strive to make sure students are heard and valued. Research shows students respond and learn more when they see themselves represented in class materials. And I think it's an important skill for everyone to discuss and learn about diverse perspectives. That's how we navigate today's society. That's how we learn and grow. Being able to analyze diverse materials prepares learners for the real world. So if you have a class of mostly African Americans, have visuals and videos that represent your class, but also have materials of communities that they don't usually see. A friend of mine taught GED and had mostly Black students, but she had one Korean student and they did a whole unit on Korean art. The students asked why they were learning about this, and she explained, because it's important for all of us to expand our worldview. This lesson represents something from one of your classmates' culture, which means it's important for all of us to learn. All right, let's move on to some tangible steps for implementing this into our classrooms. Here's some suggested questions to ask yourself while looking at teaching materials you already use or even making new ones. Ask yourself 1, what visuals or perspectives are prevalent? 2, what voices are missing? 3, are diverse people being represented in stereotypical ways that perpetuate racism? 4, how can you diversify it with supplemental resources if needed? Now, once you've taken a look at your current teaching materials and find what area you want to work on, I know it can be overwhelming of where to start your search. I've put together some examples of resources that I hope will help you in your search. This list is resources I have used or ones I know colleagues have recommended. I tried to have a good mix of resources for all kinds of student populations across adult ed. I'm always on the lookout for more resources, though. I split the resources into 3 main buckets: visuals, video/audio, and written. Let's take a look. If you click the link, which is in the discussion guide and on the PDF of the slides, you'll see this is a whole database put together by Sabes in Massachusetts. They have done a phenomenal job putting this together, so we all don't have to recreate the wheel. So definitely take a look at this one. Here's some examples of videos or audio resources. The first link is another database with a lot more resources you can peruse. To the Girl in English Class is one of my favorite videos that talks about language bias that many immigrants deal with. This could lead to a wonderful discussion in class, even with African American students talking about bias they face because they may not talk in so-called perfect standardized English. Green Card Voices and the U of M's database are great for videos of migrants telling their own stories. For the TED Talk, podcasts, news and social media accounts, and documentaries, I put just an example or two. I'm hoping that they give you an idea of topics or people to look for. They can all provide great authentic text. The podcast, This Land, was just recommended to me, so I need to listen to this too. It talks about Native resistance and movements. Georgia Fort and Toussaint are local Minnesota news reporters who have done great work talking about stories mainstream media usually dismisses. Jim Crow of the North is a powerful documentary about redlining and civil rights issues in Minnesota. And finally, here's some written text sources. Remember, these are just a few to help you start the process of looking. Like with the other buckets, I tried to mix American-born and immigrant-centered stories and resources. Sabes has written resources in their database too, so check that out. The Change Agent and Learning for Justice are great resources for a wide variety of topics, including LGBTQ, different race, many topics, so check those out. Journeys has stories written by students across adult ed. Lesla Heritage Language Hub has a database of texts written in hundreds of languages that you can use for different class resources. Both Green Card Voices and the U of M's database are mostly videos, but also have some written text. For a level 1 English class, we turn the transcripts into short class texts for the U of M stories. I used What's Next, which follows a Somali family in my level 1 class of Somali women. The Sahan Journal is a great locals news resource reporting on a wide variety of topics. An Indigenous Peoples History of the United States is a wonderful historical account of Native people on this land, which is often forgot about in mainstream history books. Lots of great excerpts can be used from this. And finally, just ask your students if they have any suggestions by people in their community. This goes for all the types of resources. All right, that's it for today's bite-sized task. Don't forget to visit the discussion guide for this video to deepen your understanding of this episode's topic. The link to the discussion guide can be found in the description to the video on YouTube and also linked on the Atlas website. The discussion guide provides questions, activities, and resources to learn more. We have linked the PDF of the slides in the guide also for your own notes, which you'll see at the top of the guide. Also, remember to check out Atlas's Cultural Competency Library and the Minnesota AB Connect newsletter for more resources. The links are in the discussion guide. Thank you so much for watching us today. Please be sure to watch the entire playlist, like and subscribe so you don't miss a video. I'll see y'all next time. Bye bye.